All right, man. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cut to the Chase Bengals Blitz. We're doing a little live stream tonight. I'm your host, Chase Yance. And over to my right, my guy is just bangling right now. Justin Lacey, what's going on with you?
We did a vote. Hey, we first the money that good. Roll time up. Sit here, Joe. Right now, I mean, watch it. All right, because I gotta go.
Yes, sir. I think, yeah, for real though, man. That was crazy. I can't believe that, we was able to do all that, man. It was a heck of a game, heck of a time there in Jacksonville, man. If you're watching this video, like and subscribe to us on YouTube. But man, we ain't gonna waste no time. Uh, you know, Jake Browning, just just the thoughts on him. What were your initial thoughts with him in this game?
See, I wasn't trying to put like this, but it's original was game of Michigan. It's actually players. Do you try to do think crazy? Work yourself into get to where you don't think it's your whole like no one's like it's
I don't. Hey, Justin. I don't know if it's something on my end. I think I'm here. I don't know if I'm hearing something like correctly or something like that. It kind of sounds like your mic is a little, you know.
yeah, yeah, my God,
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It sounds like kind of high pitch. I don't even know, but we'll get it figured out real quick. It might just be me. It might just be my headphones, my computer. I'm not too sure, but we'll get Justin back here in just a second. Not a big deal at all. But yeah, I mean, what we'll talk about Jake Browning in a second because that's the big thing. That was the big thing that we saw from the Monday night game. There was a lot of good stuff that happened last night regarding this Cincinnati Bengals win. You're looking at the run game was able to get going. Joe Mixon on the ground didn't have a bad night. 19 carries for 68 yards, averaged just a little under 4 yards a carry, but you can't be mad at the performance that he had. Two touchdowns. It was a very, very good performance that Mixon was able to display. Um, we'll get Justin back here in just a second. You got to figure some stuff out. Um, Chase Brown, 9 carries for 61 yards. I mean, he was awesome yesterday. He had a couple of big runs. He had a 31-yard run later on in the third, fourth quarter. Justin, is everything all right?
I want to make sure. Am I good on your end?
Yes, you're good on my end. I don't. Yeah, everything's all good. I don't know what it was, but hey, technical difficulties are a matter. That's what happens here in technology, man. But I think yeah, you sound good now, man. But
Okay.
I'll give you the floor once more. All right. So Jake Browning, Jake
All
Browning,
right.
man. Like, go on ahead. Just give me your whole thoughts on
So my original expectation of Jake Browning at first was I just wanted him to just simply be a game manager. Do not try to go in and try to be superhero Jake. Don't try to go in and be Joe Burrow. Just get the balls to your best player and then let them be able to do the work for you. And not only that he accomplished that, he did a little bit more than that. It was very impressive with how he was able to get his checks together so quickly that what he has said before the Steelers game was, "Hey, you ain't really got to change much on a playbook or anything like that. You ain't got to specifically tailor it to me." Well, I wanted to ignore that after watching that Steelers game because it was like, "All right, bro, you're not Joe Burrow, so quit trying to act like you Joe." But what was very impressive about the Monday night win was Jake settled into just simply being himself. He wasn't trying to be like Joe, but he also understood that he's confident. He's got this. So that was
it.
the impressive part about it, to where he did some things that I did not expect him to do. The, for example, I think the final drive before we kick, I don't know if it was a game tying field goal or the game winning field goal, where we took the field goal to kick the lead, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
where it was a 4th and 2 or a 3rd and 2, and he just runs forward And then instead of just sliding it right then and there, he continues to run.
Yeah, he just ran around everyone. It was like a
That was
detour. That man
impressive.
took a detour like he was on a trail, man. It was crazy.
Hey, that was impressive, man. So everybody's calling him the nickname Jake Shiesty. I like Jake Feisty better because Shiesty, we only attribute that to Joe Burrow. That's not going away. We're not trying to patent that with somebody else. But Jake Feisty is a good nickname for him, and that fits him perfectly, man. He's a carbon copy of what we've seen from Joe Burrow. He shows the confidence in himself and his belief in his aura. That he can go out there and play the game. He works just as hard, maybe not as hard as Joe, but he has showed that he's earned this, and he played like it on Monday night. He outdueled Trevor Lawrence, and I understand there are going to be critics that's going to say, well, Trevor Lawrence got hurt. That was less than 5 minutes to go in the game, and then unfortunately, as much as I pray that I hope that everything with Lawrence is fine. It sounds like he just got a high ankle sprain, so it's just maybe a couple weeks that he might be out. But the thing was about that is that he got sacked on that 3rd and 15 play, and that allowed for the Bengals to force them to kick a field goal, which they missed anyway. So that had absolutely nothing to do with it. And the Bengals got the ball back, and then went in that long drive to, score the should have been game-winning field goal, but unfortunately, C.J. Beathard, streaked down the field and kicked the game-time field goal. Man. But nonetheless, man, I was just absolutely impressed with Jake Feisty. I'm calling him that for the rest of the show.
Go on ahead, man. That's how you got to do it,
man. But that was he just blown away my expectations. If we have some loyal listeners that listened to the Run Through the Jungle episode last week, we did our prediction of our game balls, and I predicted Jake Browning was actually going to be the one to get the offensive game ball. I didn't expect us to win, but I thought he was going to perform better than anticipated, especially with the offensive struggles that we've been seeing for the last few weeks. I thought that this was going to be clear, far and away, the obvious choice for me that, hey, he's going to probably right the ship a little bit. And he did more than that. He not only that he played great, but he led us to the W, man. So tip the cap to Jake Feisty, man. I'm proud of him.
You said tip the cap? I bet. There you go. Now,
I like the cap.
I'll say this. It's almost like he said, Holy Spirit, activate. And the man upstairs, our good Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, just went inside his body and he made sure he had an out-of-body experience. And I mean, 32 for 37 last night against an 8-3 football team, to say the least. The Jags are no slouches. Are the Jags as good as everyone perceived them to be? They're not. They're a good football team, but they're not an elite football team, and that's one thing they have to get over. But 354 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, had a 115.5 rating. I said this, actually. You won't believe this. I was messaging one of my friends earlier in the day. I'll give it specifically 11:33 a.m. in the morning. He's like, man, it's game day. Let's get up. I said, I'm so excited to watch Jake Browning throw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and get a Bengals win tonight. And I put in parentheses, I'm delusional. And he goes back at midnight and he said, bruh, all those things happen. And I said, hey, bruh, am I delusional still? Because I was questioning it myself. Because last night, a lot of things that have not happened this year. Actually, let me just put this out here real quick. All right, let me put this out here real quick. Is it just me, or has it felt like this season has been 4 different seasons?
It crazily sounds like it's been a multitude of things. Oh, shoot, man.
Think about it. Think about it.
I know.
Think about this. Yeah. You got. Okay, so if you look at it in 4-game spurts, not even 4-game spurts, just look at the trends. The first 4 games of the season were 1-3, and Joe's hurt, all right, with the calf and everything. Joe magically gets healthy, and we go 4-0, and we look like the best team in one of the best teams in the National Football League, most dangerous team in the AFC. And it's like, man, they counted us out, man, and they should have put us away while we was down. And then a loss that was a little weird. And then the Burrow injury. And then you lose the Steelers in a movie that we've all seen before. And it's like, the roller coaster went from just starting down and we went really high and now we're really down. And then last night, with everything that happened, we had 491 yards of offense last night. How many yards did we run for yesterday? 156 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns on 31 carries. Hey, Zach Taylor, you see what happens? The pass games open up when you do the run. I know Tim Lyons is watching. Run the damn ball. Isn't that
Hey,
wild?
man.
It's insane. And that is something that is, I hope that the staff takes this going forward. You already paid Joe Burrow the $275 million. He is the richest dude in the city of Cincinnati, or at least top 3 in that guard. We don't know the lawyers and all that other stuff that live there. But I'll say this, all right? He's already shown his worth to the organization. We don't have to throw him 50 times a game going forward. You can throw him 30, 35 times a game. Nothing crazy like that. Run the football. You have 2 really good running backs. Nixon, who's been doing it for a long time. And can we give a round of applause for Chase Brown? I mean,
yes.
Good.
I couldn't wait to talk about him.
Talk about him,
She
man.
brought
Right?
him out.
Talk about him. Talk about him right now. Take the floor. I need to
Oh
tell.
my gosh. I gotta finally give credit to the coaching staff. First of all, I'm gonna give them credit and I'm gonna give them blame at the exact same time.
Hey, man.
I'm gonna blame them first because you should have used them sooner. Okay?
Exactly.
Don't give me that BS nonsense like, oh, he's a rookie and whatever. Nah, you should have used him sooner. Okay.
Yes.
He played in the preseason. He got some reps in training camp. You should have played him a little bit more of splitting some of those carries week 1 with Mixon. All right. That's number 1. I understand he got hurt, went on IR, was out for a few weeks, but he's back.
Yep.
But what you did, and I was very happy to see this, that you actually complimented Joe Mixon in the running game by using Chase Brown more than anticipated.
Yep.
You didn't let go of the hot hand either. That's what's even better about it.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
When Joe Mixon was hot, you kept feeding him the ball. When Chase Brown was hot, you let him run the ball until you got to a situation to where, okay, we know this, we got to pass at this one, but you can open up the play action with it more. You didn't think about the whole, oh, okay, well, we got to make sure that this particular running back is in the air so that way we can protect in the backfield so that way we can have an actual pass protection, play calling. No, you didn't have to worry about none of that. Why? Because your O-line played pretty damn good too. So let's not actually forget about that. But I was very impressed with Chase Brown's running ability, especially the 31-yard scamper that he had. Man, I thought he was going to break it. I thought it was going to go for longer. I thought so. I thought it was going to go for at least like 50-something, 60 yards. Like he was going to beat a couple of guys cutting it back in the inside, and then he was taking it to the house or something. But he didn't, and that's okay. But that was such an efficient rushing effort that he did. It's like, this is what we've wanted from our running game this whole entire time. We never needed to show the stat that we couldn't run the ball at all. We've always known that we can run the ball, but the Bengals just always bailed away from it because they always believe that their best player in it. It is true. Joe Burrow is our best guy. That if you want to have the chance to win, you send it over to him. But that doesn't work at times, and sometimes you got to protect Joe from himself and run the ball a hell of a lot more than you need to. Chase Brown has now shown you that he is a complimentary back and can be a capable back in the event that Mixon needs to be able to sit down on the bench for a couple of drives or whatnot. Yep. So that way Chase Brown can take the load off of him. And he's shown that he's very quick and shifty. And then with the reps that he'll take, now he's also a rookie too. But once he starts to feel more comfortable with taking those reps, he is going to surprise a hell of a lot of people that nobody really thought that was going to come. It's almost like we finally got our Keaton Mitchell. We finally got our Isaiah Pacheco from last year. We finally got our, what is his name, Devine A-Chain. I'm not going that far because Devine A-Chain is a beast.
He's something else,
But give Chase Brown that type of workload down the stretch or even going into next year, you might see him actually surprise a lot of people. And I get that the fumbling thing that he had in college or whatever was an issue. But right now, man, it ain't showing up on film right now or on the stat sheet or even on the field. So let him play, man. Stop worrying about these small little giddy-ups and let him just play football. And I think that in a weird way, the blessing in disguise of this Bengals team right now where we stand, Pat, and I'll say this last bit and let you continue, was that we hate to see that Joe Burrow went down with that injury. but it eliminated all the pressure in the world that, okay, now we ain't got to go off with this angst that we got to still keep chasing after a number 1 or 2 seed. We got to still go out there and show that we're the top team, contending team to go win the Super Bowl this year. We already kind of knew that once Burrow went out with that injury, man, and it sucks. But this team can just eliminate that pressure and just go out there and play hard and win games regardless. And I was so happy to see them do that, starting with running the damn ball. Yes, Tim, I know you in it. I know you watching. Running the damn ball, let's coin that phrase. And they showed that they can do so much more stuff out of it. So, but back to you, because that was I just had to get that off my chest about Chase
Hey
Brown.
man, that's the thing. And you looking at it, if he has those issues and they're not showing up on the field, man, we ain't gonna talk about them issues until they actually happen. All right. Like,
Exactly.
you feel
Exactly.
me? Like, yeah, that's the big thing. And I'm not a person that's gonna be like, all right, this guy needs to get a specific number of carries, and this guy needs, like, we need to go through the flow of the game, see which person has the hot hand, see who's doing what, better in what regard. But when you're looking at, a balanced attack where Mixon has 19 carries and Chase Brown has 9 carries, 10 carries and stuff like that, and you're running the football 30 times a game, and you're seeing your top back at about 17, 18 carries and your secondary back at about, that 9 to 10 range, man, that's balanced. That's a balanced run attack. That's balanced football. That's balanced everything. But here's the big thing. It's efficient. It's efficient. When you play balanced, there's a better chance that you play efficiently. If you're throwing the ball 50 times and running it 10 times, there is a lower chance of efficiency throwing it 50 times because, I mean, if you complete 7% of your passes, 35 completions. That's a lot of throwing, a lot of opportunities for stuff to happen. I just hope that they figure it out, that they know, hey, when Burrow's back in there, we can run the football and stuff's going to get set up and it's going to be a lot easier for Burrow. And if things get a lot easier for Burrow, oh my God, it's I don't want to be that guy, but it's over. It's over for the league. I don't want to be that guy. Just keep saying it, but the competency, if it happens every week, it's over.
Right.
And that's another thing. You were talking about this team can kind of play loose and play free and everything. That's a dangerous team. That's when a team is able to do that, play loose, play calm with no expectations. And obviously you want to have those expectations, because you've been AFC Championship, Super Bowl the last couple of years. But when a team is like that has that much talent, because the Cincinnati Bengals have a lot of talent on their team. We don't have Joe Burrow right now, but if Jake Browning plays even 3/4 as good as what he did yesterday, then this Bengals team, especially with the schedule they have coming up, I'm going to hold off to the next episode for that. But there's a lot of excitement that could be had. And we'll talk again about the schedule in a little bit. But I also got to give I also got to say this, man. This is a comment. This is a phrase, or not even a phrase, just a statement that, everyone in the National Football League knows by now and everything. And it's, it's so super simple. Jamar Chase is so fucking good at football.
Man,
it's unreal. It's unreal. It's unreal.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting, like, I know we're Bengals fans. We see it every single week. But I mean, like, if you're a fan of football, I mean, tell who are you comparing Jamar Chase to? Like Justin said, he's one of one. Uno, baby. Like, I mean, it's incredible.
I mean, so going into the season, respectfully, I did have Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill at 1 and 2 and Jamar Chase at 3. But I stated that Jamar Chase has the potential to leapfrog both of them be 1. Now, Tyreek Hill is having a monstrous season right now. No doubt about it. I think that dude, along with Christian McCaffrey, they should be the number 1 and 2 odds winning the NFL's MVP. Forget the damn Offensive Player of the Year award for both of them. Without those two guys on that team don't even win the games that they're winning.
No.
Let alone. Like, they'll be productive, but nah. Tyreek Hill is having an incredible season. But you got to play age in the factor too. I don't think that Tyreek Hill is in risk of losing the step just because he's 30 years old now.
Yeah.
But Jamar Chase, I bank on his youth, but I also bank on that you really haven't even seen the really very best of Jamar Chase. And what we've seen so far now is on par with those two guys that I just mentioned. And Jettis has also been hurt, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock him for injury because he's been a worldly productive talent over
Let
the
me
last few years too,
let
since
me
he's been in
add
the league
this.
too.
So I didn't mean to cut you off, but let me add this
No, you're
though.
good.
Jetta's Chase, you got that in 12 days in
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati. So
I can't
continue.
wait for that. I
Yeah.
think that would be one hell of a matchup that all the fans are going to want to see.
Yeah.
And they both might put up some insane stat numbers because as much as I like where our defensive kind of explored a little bit of youth, the rookie and growing pains mistakes do show up on film,
They do.
and we are letting some of their best players just go rocks off on us, and it's kind of frustrating to watch. But that's just the price you pay when you draft young guys on the defensive secondary or on the back end. So I'm okay with that. It ain't like that we're still continuing having Nick Scott start back there. I'm sorry to throw shade at Nick Scott, but that guy should have been sitting on the bench a long time ago. It should have been the Jordan Battle show to show that he can actually get up and go. But going back to Jamar Chase, I am about ready to put him in that category of he's just that dude. He is the best receiver in the game. And again, this is absolutely no disrespect to the guys that I've mentioned in Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson. I'll even throw in there who else has been performing lights out?
AJ
AJ
Brown.
Brown.
AJ Brown's been
AJ
awesome.
Brown has been on fire. But you also you got to think about the supporting cast around those guys, minus Jettis a little bit, but the supporting cast around those other guys that really their whole entire team is excellent. With AJ Brown, that entire team is excellent. With Tyreek Hill, they have a schematic offensive mastermind so far. We like to consider him that with Mike McDaniel, but they just know how to just scheme him open. And no disrespect to Tyreek Hill, he's know how to take advantage of it. And it seems like that nobody can really stop him on a week-to-week basis. But I see that Jamar Chase gets the double coverage and rolled attention to his side week in and week out. And for him to go through the adversity that he's gone through with Burrow, with the calf injury, getting hurt early in the season, trying to battle his health back, to then show that he can be productive with his own numbers, to seeing now losing Burrow again and now having to play with Jake Browning and kind of putting Jake Browning up a little bit with his performance yesterday. That just shows me, man, that's a guy that knows how to perform well no matter who's throwing him the rock. Yeah. And I that's why I really do think Jamar Chase, when it's all said and done, by season's end, I think everybody's going to probably feel it. They're not going to say it because they're still going to acknowledge Tyreek Hill in the insane season that he's having. I think that he will have 2,000 yards this season, but I do believe that there is going to be a budding conversation that who's the best receiver in the league, and Jamar Chase is probably going to be right there in that combo. Me personally, I put him as one of one for real because there ain't really not a lot of guys that can do a lot of stuff like him. Yeah. Even Tyreek Hill. Tyreek is just lightning quick. I love him, but Jamar is just built different. It's hard to explain it, man.
It is.
I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that's the thing. I mean, at 6 foot, 201 pounds, he's a guy. I know Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill's having the best receiver season, I would say, statistically, all that stuff. And, I think anyone with eyes can see
Calvin Johnson, I think.
Yeah, since Calvin Johnson, he is on, on pace to break, to get 2,000 yards, break it, whatever. But, when you're looking at the actual play on the field and everything, looking at, the body type, all this other stuff that goes into a Jamar Chase, when you just watch, you just like, wow, like that's just incredible what he's out there doing. I mean, you could the thing is is Tyreek, and this is not a shade of Tyreek Hill, but is he going to go up and try to like moss somebody in like a 5-yard setting and try to win a fade route or a jump ball? Nah.
If it's a corner that he knows he can get the advantage of, like a third or fourth round corner that he's just happy, like Tua just throws a launch ball up in there in the air.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyreek is running up under it.
He got some space to work with. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see him do that, but to your point, no, not consistently, no.
Yeah,
but Jamar would.
Exactly. The contested catch and the ability to high point the football, the ability to this is what I think is one of the most underrated parts of Jamar Chase's game is the fact that, making the first man miss. You see that so many times where, he catches the ball and someone he doesn't go down after the first contact. Like, it is incredible what he's able to do. Mm-hmm. It's a quick twitch move. It's just being able to be slippery and break off somebody. And it's ridiculous. And we are Bengals fans, but we're also putting our generalized NFL hats on right now and saying that with the talent that Jamar Chase is, and you've seen it, going for 266 and 3 touchdowns, having 15 catches, having 75-yard touchdowns, and making defenders look silly in midair. You've seen all of that stuff. But just the ability that this man has there, and to mention what Justin was talking about with age, he's only 23. He was born in 2000. Let that sink in. You know what's crazy about that? He was born in 2000, and this win last night for the Bengals was the first time that they won a Monday night road game since 1990, 10 years before he existed.
That is incredible, bro. Look, now we were already talking off air about it, but we're going to have this conversation again because we weren't live yet. Yep. But bro, I could not believe when they posted that stat line out about the Bengals have not won on Monday Night Football, a road Monday Night Football game since 1990. I couldn't believe it. I had to count back the years, all the games, and I have a deep catalog of memory now. You know, I may be 32 years old, but I have a deep catalog of memory for all the football that I've watched on prime time and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And damn, I really had to listen to that. I'm like, yeah, we really did win the Monday game on prime time. No, we won the prime time game in 2012 when we played Philly, but no, that was a Thursday night game.
TNF, yeah.
But Monday Night Football and here's the thing I need to say about that. Because it wasn't like it was just playing like the New York Giants this year in their stadium to get a cheap little win on Monday Night Football when that team is just completely garbage. They're eviscerated. They're just not good at all. This was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let me paint you guys this picture real quick.
Go on ahead, Picasso.
The Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, a week prior, when we was doing the pregame shows on our show, Run Through the Jungle, I gave Jacksonville all kinds of credit in the world because how I've envisioned that team. They're a little bit like how the Cincinnati Bengals were going into last year about pundits and experts thinking that they need to go out there and prove it again. Well, the Bengals actually did prove it again going into last year with a much harder road and a much tougher schedule, and they just wiped the floor with everybody. This Jacksonville team was well on their way of doing that in the sense of I feel like that they started off a little slow. They got their footing together and they started winning these games, and they had the perfect opportunity right in their hands. You had potentially one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, in the AFC, one of the better teams in the AFC. You're at home. That crowd is electrifying. It reminds the Bengals fans a lot about when we played the Buffalo Bills on Monday night, the game that unfortunately got canceled. We already knew what was going to happen to Buffalo that night. And if they didn't believe us, we showed them in the playoffs during that following playoff season.
Got that right.
But Jacksonville was staring a perfect opportunity right in their face, and they did not take advantage of it. But not even because they didn't play good. It's just that the Bengals outplayed them. Yeah. In the situation in the adversity that they were facing. It's one hell of a job by the coaching staff who we've all been critical of. That's keeping it above, myself included. I wasn't calling for Zach Taylor's job at all by any means, but I did say that we need to evaluate how we're going to proceed with this play calling things or the play calling duties, whatever that going forward. I did question Brian Callahan a little bit because it seems like that you're trying to run everybody out there like you got Peyton Manning at quarterback when these are different guys that's throwing the ball here. I did question Lou Anarumo because a lot of people that don't necessarily listen to our show, I've made statements that as much as we like Lou Anarumo and Colin Ludini, his defense lately has been getting folded like a panini. So with that being said, we had some questions about this team. But on Monday night, you had all this working against you. Everybody was posting up Jacksonville. They got to prove themselves that they're among the elites of the AFC supremacy, up there with Kansas City and Baltimore and the Miami Dolphins, even though Miami still got to beat teams with winning records. But nobody really was ready to put Jacksonville in that class, but they acknowledged that they were a great team. But not when they put you in that class, at least that means they feel like that you are a Super Bowl contending team. if Jacksonville were to pull off this easy win, so to speak, they were a 9.5 point overdog. Why I call it overdog favorites.
Yeah.
in this game.
Over,
I'm
under,
thinking about
dog, whatever. There you go.
I'm thinking about that Kevin Hart commercial when he said team overdog.
Yep.
But
Oh,
you
but
had all of that working against you. You are in the Bengals. How do you expect for them what they got all this energy coming at you? What are you going to do to overcome it? And damn it, did they not bat an eye and they went out there and played football. That was impressive to watch. And again, I still think the world of Jacksonville, I think that they'll be fine. You know, Trevor Lawrence, again, we'll see the severity of his injury.
yep.
It just came announced today that he had a high ankle sprain, but nothing. I think that everything seemed to be stable. So he might be out a week, maybe two. But I think he's a competitive. I think he's a worthy competitor that he's known that he can't really miss that much time. I think he might be out the next game, but come back when they got to go against the Ravens at home. That's going to be an electrifying game as well for them.
Yep.
But the Bengals, this just proved to them that even when they got all this working against them, this team that have all this momentum coming into this game, they're at home on prime time on Monday Night Football for the first time since 2011. Mm-hmm. We talk about the Bengals not winning one since 1990. The Jags hasn't even been on Monday Night Football at home since 2011.
Yeah.
Think about that. And they had the perfect opportunity right here, and then it just slipped out of their fingers because the Bengals capitalized and beat them at their own game. And it wasn't no fluke job. It wasn't like that the Bengals got lucky. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are going to be some Jags fans. I don't know if there's going to be in here any Jags fans listening that's going to say, well, what about that holding call on Sam Hubbard? That was a holding call, bro. And I was pissed that they didn't call it sooner. They threw the flag later. But it was clear and evident that I was holding.
Oh yeah.
But regardless of whatever the fact there was penalties that went against the Bengals too in that game. Okay, that I question. I feel like it was nonsense. But that's just the nature of the NFL, man. And we didn't make no excuses. Even when there was moments where I thought, like, all right, man, the momentum seems to be slipping on our end. Mm-hmm. They ponied up and got themselves right back into it. Even after that ugly interception that Tyler Boyd threw, it felt like that the world was going to just slip past our fingers. Like, all right, it was fun while it lasted, but we're probably going to get rolled. They're going to just go on the scoring spree right here, but we'll look forward to next week. No, they didn't give up. They kept going.
Yep.
So, yeah, but I had to mention that too.
Hey, I mean, we went 32 minutes without mentioning Tyler Boyd interception, and I think we just go stick right there from that. It happened. It was probably one of the weirdest plays I've ever seen in the Bengals game. It just, yeah. But, oh, man, I just gotta laugh about that. So,
no, me too.
So we're going to take a really, really short break. When we come back, Justin, I want you to look at your phone. I want you to click on the link that I send you, and stuff's going to get real spooky here, all right? I'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, and we are back. Back here on the Cut to the Chase Bengals Blitz. So, all right. So, Justin, I think I've told you this before. Maybe I haven't. You know, we have very deep catalogs in football, okay? And I've watched to this point 252 straight Sunday Night Football games, dating back to Week 16 of 2008. All right. And there are games on there from 07, 06. I sent you a list of results of stuff that has popped up. I want you to just go through a couple of random years in there and give me a couple of random weeks. And I will try to name who was playing and, you know, who won the game. And then we'll talk briefly about this Bengals Colts matchup. I just want to try to test my knowledge here on a Tuesday night past 9 o'clock.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with I'm going to start off with an easy one. All 2006, right. Indianapolis Colts at Bengals at Colts.
Oh, that was the Bengals at Colts. You said that was a Monday Night Football game. So what I want you to do is this, all right? So that's the Sunday night list I sent you, I believe, right? I think that's the Sunday night. So this doesn't have to be a Bengals game or anything like that. It can just be any game. So So basically, give me the year and give me the week. and then I will
Okay.
name the two teams. I will try to name the two teams and who won the game. So
Okay.
have at it.
All right, let's go. The Sunday night list here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick an odd one out here. I'm going to go with 2008 week 7.
Week 7. Okay. 2008 week 7, the Bucks beat the Seahawks, and I'll give you an asterisk behind it. Chris Collinsworth filled in for John Madden that game.
That is crazy because I do remember that was John Madden's last time, and Chris Collinsworth got promoted.
That's insane that we both remember that. What the heck? Oh my gosh.
But that is a correct one here. Yeah, Seahawks, Bucks, 20-10. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Let's go and do another one. I'm not going to go with 2006 just because I've already stated that year earlier and I messed that up. But what I will do is I'm going to go into the same decade, the same 2000 decade, 2009. Let's go. Week 11.
Week 11? I think it was the Bears and the Eagles won.
That is correct.
That was the game that was it 24-20.
That is also correct.
And you know what's crazy about that? That was the night where Devin Hester's ass got flashed by the NBC camera. He caught a pass and someone tried to tackle him and just his bare ass just showed. And I don't know why that was on there, but yeah,
That's so crazy that you remember just that part. That is hilarious.
Oh man.
All right. Now, so we're now going to go into the next decade here, the most previous decade, the 2010s decade. Let's go with 2010.
Okay.
Let's go week 6.
2010 week 6. Ooh, okay. So that game was the Indianapolis Colts at the Washington Redskins. I think Pierre Garcon had a crazy one-handed catch. The Colts ended up winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the score, but the Colts ended up winning.
I do remember that Pierre Garcon one-handed catch. It was like over the head, like a little bit.
That
was an insane catch.
Mm-hmm.
So the Colts did win 27-24 was the score. It was in Washington. Trivia question. Do you remember who the quarterback for the Redskins at that time was?
At that time, I know week 1 that year. I don't know if he was still the quarterback in the week 6 game, but was it Donovan McNabb in that one?
That is correct.
Okay.
McNabb
I wasn't
just got that was the electrifying Michael Vick year that he took over for the Eagles, and then they decided to go ahead and move on from Donovan McNabb, trade him within the division, or I'm not sure that he just got released, whatever the case may be. Washington scooped him up, and then he was their starter for that season, for most of that season. But yes, that is absolutely correct. Manning versus McNabb, and it was a pretty good game, but nonetheless, Peyton Manning. And the crazy part about the 2010 season for the Colts is that they had a laundry list of injuries. Like nobody could stay healthy. And if I remember correctly, they had the Blair White project where he was a receiver that came off of a practice squad, and that was a thing. That was a crazy thing for him.
Yeah, because that year ended with them losing to the Jets in the wild card round. I think it was like 17-16, but that was such a weird year. I think the Jaguars were really competing with them in 2010, but the Colts ended up winning the division. They were like 10-6. It was like a really it was the last year of Peyton Manning with them.
Definitely, it was.
It was odd,
All right, I'm gonna do 2 more here. Staying in the same year.
Yep.
But I am going to go with week 12.
2010. 2010 week 12. Okay. You might get me with this one. Okay.
I'll give you a hint.
Well, hold on one second. So I can week 13. I remember is the Steelers Ravens. Steelers won 13-10 in overtime. I believe
that is correct. That is absolutely correct.
But week 12. Week 12. That's after Thanksgiving. That was the weekend of Thanksgiving. Okay, let me think here. I'm gonna go through my process here.
All right, I'll let you go through your process.
Maybe I'm a week too early or too late on this, but I feel like it was the Chargers beating the Colts.
That is correct. The Chargers beating the Colts.
Oh my, that's really weird. Like
that's really good that you had.
Barely remember that game. What was the score of that game again?
Yeah, the Chargers actually whooped their ass.
36-14. Oh, yeah. It's that bad. Shoot.
Again, it was a number of people beat the Colts that year. Peyton Manning did not have his finest year that season after going to the Super Bowl the year before in 2009. But the reason why I picked that game is to bring precedent to everybody remembers the Manning era in the Colts with Manning versus Brady. But there was a quarterback in Phillip Rivers, the Chargers, who seemed to always have his number a lot of times during that same season. So with that being said, Tim said he got the game.
Tim, I literally swear, I'm not going to say on everything, but I swear on a lot of things, I do not have the games on my computer.
I do have them pulled up on my phone.
He's got to put them on his phone.
Exercise. Yeah,
but this is. I swear to you. All right.
Yeah, and so going back to the San Diego Chargers, the then San Diego Chargers.
Yep.
Man, the Colts. Everybody said that thinks that their hurdle was always New England, and don't get me wrong, it was for the early part of the 2000s decade. But getting into the later part of the 2000s decade, it was really the Chargers that started getting in that ass a little bit for Peyton Manning. I remember specifically in 2005 that the Colts started off 13-0, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. They suffered their first loss against the Chargers. Mm-hmm. And then in 2006, the Colts won the Super Bowl. But if you remember correctly, they ended up getting a home game. The reason why they got the home game in that AFC title game against their foe, New England, who at that time, Peyton didn't want to admit this, but he kind of had their number going at that time.
Yeah.
He avoided the real test, and that was going on the road against the Chargers because that Chargers team led by LT and Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates, them boys was ready to beat their ass too that season.
Yep. That was the game. That was the game. Ellis Hobbs for the Patriots, I believe, did the night dance or whatever it was that Sean Merriman.
Sean Merriman dance.
Yep. That's I specifically remember for that one. But yes. I mean that was
Because I'm sorry, but if the Chargers would have won that game, and they should have honestly won that game, I remember that I don't remember who got the pick, but he fumbled the interception after he picked off Tom Brady, and then he got it, and then he got fumbled. New England recovers, and then it was that kind of sealed the win for New England the rest of the game. But if the Chargers would have hung on to won that game, they would have had that AFC Championship game played there at home. And I do not think the Colts beat that particular Chargers team. We saw it even again in 2007 when they played the Chargers and Phillip Rivers and Billy Volek, and they lost at home. And in 2008, they lost again. And then in 2009, they avoided the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the Chargers, they lost because the Colts were the 1, the Chargers were the 2, and the Jets beat the Chargers on the road. And also one more thing to mention, in 2007, that game, the Colts lost by 2 in the regular season. I think it was week 10 of 07. Peyton Manning threw 6 interceptions. 6 interceptions that game. Antonio Cromartie had a one-hand interception. It was insane. The Chargers were in their powder blues. Darren Sproles had a kickoff return to start the game off for a touchdown. It's just a weird game, to say the least.
That was a crazy-ass game because even with him throwing all those 6 picks, and I was kind of testing my memory a bit, Adam Vinatieri, he lost him that game because he could have made a chip shot field goal to win the game, but he missed that field goal, and they ended up losing that game. It was the second of the back-to-back losses because they lost to New England at the Battle of the Undefeateds at home. Mm-hmm. Then they went on the road on Sunday Night Football. I should have brought that one up on Sunday Night Football and beat the Colts right then and there. And so it was the Chargers were always sort of a pain in the neck of Peyton Manning back during the Colts era that nobody really talks about because it's always Manning versus Brady. But with that being said, I do want to move on because we have some more good years. Again, I said I was going to bring up 2 more. All right. Ooh.
Oh boy.
I'm going to go into this. I'm going to go ahead and give it up the same team that we've been talking about because we're getting ready to play them. 2011. This one's got to be an easy one, bro.
Week
2011,
Okay.
week 7.
Oh, well, yeah, the biggest. Well, yeah, it's the biggest. I believe it's still the biggest blowout in SNF history. Saints, Colts, 62-7. I mean, wow. I mean,
What I
wow.
remember, what I remember about that game is everybody clearly picked the Saints to win.
Whew.
You didn't have Peyton Manning. Curtis Painter was the starting
Curtis
quarterback
Painter.
at that time.
Yep.
And the only person that went against the grain was Tony Dungy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that one did not wait. That did not work out well for him at all.
No.
And then, so that one was a pretty easy one. And then the last one I'll do here, I'm going to 2012.
Okay, 2012.
2012, week 3.
2012 week 3. So let me think here.
This was a fun game to watch.
So 2012 week 3. So in 2012 week 1, the Broncos beat the Steelers the first week. The second week, the Lions lost to the Niners after the little handshake incident that happened with Schwartz and Harbaugh.
Correct.
The third game. I remember this one. The Patriots lost to the Ravens 31-30, and there was the largest horse manure chant ever lived in that stadium, M&T Bank Stadium. There's a bad call, and all you hear in the background is bullshit, bullshit. And then Justin Tucker hits a game-winning field goal, actually. So that was the start of Justin Tucker with the Baltimore Ravens, and here we are now.
That is absolutely correct. Yes, that was the game that really catapulted Justin Tucker's career. I mean, that whole season was defined by the Ravens were poised to go on a championship run that season, starting with beating the shit out of us on that Monday night game that we lost on the road.
We did.
Andy Dalton's second start.
Yeah.
There was a lot of delusions for a lot of Bengals fans, myself included, thinking that we were going to pull off the win. But no, I should have known that we weren't ready for that test.
I thought that.
But I pull up that game because that was before when they met in the AFC Championship game in 2011. Lee Evans dropped a touchdown pass in the back corner of the end zone, and Billy Cundiff, who was the kicker at the time, missed the field goal that would have sent it to overtime. And that basically just told the Ravens, all right, we got to get a kicker. And they ended up getting Justin Tucker in the draft. And that game, I remember that game that was a fun game. Torrey Smith hauled in 2 touchdown passes. I even I didn't like bet because there was no sports betting legal at the time for obviously Ohio. But I was throwing like barbershop fun bets, saying that the Ravens are going to win this game and that they remember what happened in the AFC Championship game, a game that they should have won then. So they basically took revenge out of the Patriots in that game with the 1-point win. But that also set the stage for the Ravens to beat them again in a championship game that season when they went through both Peyton Manning and Tom Brady to go on and wait to meet the Colin Kaepernick-led 49ers to win that Super Bowl. I think that game right there sort of defined them. So look at me shouting out the Ravens. See, again, I don't respect purple people. I don't respect the purple people of the Ravens fans nation that are just disrespectful of us Bengals fans. During that time, bro, I was always a casual Ravens supporter, as if even though they're a divisional foe, I did respect and I did acknowledge that what they've done was great. And we did beat the Ravens once that year too, even though, if I'm not mistaken, but they were resting starters halfway through it. But we were both in the playoffs and we still was playing our guys and we still beat them. So we got the second one.
There you go. But, good enough. But that
was a fun exercise, man. It had to test some catalog of memories, and you did a great job, bro. I loved it. I couldn't even remember some of these that you had sent me this list, but that was impressive that you saw that you had that on the top of your membrane.
Hey, I appreciate you doing that. That was a fun exercise. I have to flip it around, just do random other games because man, we got some deep sports memory catalogs, especially in the football department. But before we get on out of here, we'll briefly talk about this Colts Bengals game. We'll have previews later on in the week and everything, especially on the Running Through the Jungle Network. Go check those guys out. They're doing a lot of great stuff. Got the merch. Justin repping the shirt and everything. I got my stuff upstairs and all. So doing good things over there on the Running Through the Jungle channel. So I know the game just happened last night, and it's still less than 24 hours. But we have the Colts coming up on Sunday. the shorter week.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
Colts are favored right now by 1 on the road. All of that. Who cares? Okay, but what are 1 or 2 things that you're looking forward to that you're going to watch critically in this game against the Indianapolis Colts, who have been, are a young upstart team behind their first year head coach and Shane Steichen, and Gardner Minshew's playing inspired football right now. And the Colts right now are at the 7th seed. So what are you looking forward to in this one?
So what I'm looking for is the Bengals showing that even though the Colts have a little bit of promise, that they can still show that championship pedigree at home this time, even if Joe Burrow's not playing. What I don't want them to do is get fat happy off of their success because of what Jake Browning and the rest of the offense played like on Monday night. I think that they played great. Obviously, we already know that. But the Colts have been pulling out some wins lately, too.
Yeah.
They had a very impressive win earlier in the season with Gardner Minshew at quarterback against the Ravens on the road and beat Lamar in his own game. But when I watch this Colts team, I don't feel like that they're a dominant team that I feel like that I need to be super scared of in a sense of like, oh man, they're poised to make a run. I think that they have been very fortunate and also misfortunate at the exact same time too. I really like the kid Alex Pierce, UC Cincinnati boy.
There you go.
He had
Yep.
one hell of a game last week. So I think that the Bengals need to be very much aware of a letdown happening, that you got this team that's an upstart team that's in the 7th seed now, but make no mistake about it, you have an opportunity to go ahead and steal that position from them because they're next up on your schedule. And here's another thing too. Luckily, with us winning on Monday Night Football, and now puts the record that we're finally on the board of winning the game against the AFC South. We were 0-2 prior to that, losing against the Titans and losing against the Texans.
Yep.
You have an opportunity to even this thing up because you should have dominated this damn division, if you ask me personally.
Yeah.
That's what Joe Burrow, obviously, I'm making that statement. But you have the better team. You have the more talented roster. They just cut Shaq Leonard, who's I think he's about to ink a deal with the Philadelphia Eagles now.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a ton of talent on the Colts, but they have young talent that you have to watch for. And if you don't pay attention to them, or if you think that you're going to just big macho think that you're better than them because you got a little bit more household names than that team does, you are going to be in for a trap game, kind of like how Jacksonville was in it for a trap game against you.
Yep.
So I'm looking for the team to stay sharp, have that great high energy week of practice like they did this week leading up to the Monday night game, show that the jungle can still be loud and can still roar and can be restored even if Joe is not playing. Because Jake Brown, I think that Jake Brown's performance on Monday night rejuvenated the energy with this fan base to where you want to see them pack the house again. Even
100%.
if Colts fans do tend to travel, because 100 miles, the Indianapolis is 100 miles away from Cincinnati. It's a pretty easy drive. So you're going to see some Colts. You're going to see some Colts fans travel in this game.
Yeah.
But make them feel like that. Hey, you first of all enjoy the city, but you're going to catch some hell coming into the jungle because you're going to see your team get this work. That's the kind of mentality that I need to see the Bengals have moving forward. You can't drop these games in the AFC. You're back in it now.
Yeah.
You're right there. The season is not done. We are still fighting for our wild card playoff spot. And at the end of the day, play loose.
Yeah.
Play loose. You playing loose and playing without any expectation. People already wrote you off anyway. This spread, I think it was 3.5 points before the Monday night kicked off. And then now after the conclusion of our game and we win, it's now down to 1.5. The Colts are favorite for us at home. That tells me that they still writing you off, bro. So that they anticipate you having a letdown. Let them put money on the Colts. Please let them put money on the Colts and show them that we're still the big dogs, that even if we ain't got our quarterback, we still that team that you got to watch out for. We're still that old dog in the backyard that got a vicious bite. And if you come across our fence, you will get eaten alive, bro. I think the Bengals need to approach it with that mentality. And if they do, they're going to be just fine. I'm not expecting another shootout like I saw on Monday Night Football because that was a fun game. But I do expect the Bengals to play tough, physical, hard-nosed football. I do expect the players to show that accountability that they're going to do whatever it takes to win the game.
I echo all the sentiments that you just put out there, man. That's exactly what what needs to happen, and that's one big thing that's not an X and O's thing. That the fans at the jungle is going to be packed, and that thing is going to be loud because there is new energy back, and the Bengals are at home back-to-back weeks and have a chance to win 2 games against two backup quarterbacks. Even though we have a backup quarterback of our own, you win both of these games, man. You could be 8-6 going into Pittsburgh at 4:30 on the NBC, which we might have
Mm-hmm.
the guy on the show that is calling that game. We'll talk a little bit later about that. But we've been talking about one offensive thing, one defensive thing that I'm looking at. The Bengals have to be able to have the run game success right there. Have that balanced attack, be efficient in the run game, get Joe Mixon active early and often, Chase Brown, sprinkle him in there here and there, try to ride the hot hand and everything, and just make Jake Browning comfortable. If you're going, play action, you're winning, the sticks, you're winning the battle, winning 1st and 10, and you're getting the 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4, and then you open your playbook up all the way and just make Jake Browning comfortable. He's not going to do that every single week, but if he's able to be 75% of that, the Bengals have a really good shot of winning a lot of these football games down the stretch. The other thing on the defensive side is last night, we didn't really generate a whole lot of pressure that I would say, as much as I would like. Trevor Lawrence is a really good quarterback, to say the least. But against a guy like Gardner Minshew, if you get pressure up in his face, he will put the ball in harm's way, and guys just gotta be there to just step up and make a play. Who I want to see get an interception this week? Chidobe Awuzie. You are due, my guy. You are due, man.
Too.
You're due. It's time for you to just, I've already gotten through the ACL. I've already gotten through, some, veteran, lumps and everything like that. It's time because these Colts receivers are pretty lengthy and in height and everything. Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman's having a really great season, by the way. But and then Josh Downs has been really good too. This is a good Colts receiving core that's going up against. We can't take them lightly. But I just hope that we get pressure on the quarterback. Gardner Minshew put the ball in harm's way, and our guys are able to make plays and force turnovers and then give the ball back to the offense with confidence and with efficiency. Those are 2 things I'm looking forward to in this one. You got any final things to say before we get on out of here?
Yeah, as opposed to the defense, I'm also looking for them to I need the defensive secondary to step up majorly. And I'm glad you pointed out Cheeto. I know that a lot of the fan base is pretty much just feeling like that. This feels like the last swan song of his Bengal career here before we let him move on and whatever the case it may be.
Yeah.
I need to see a vintage Cheeto game too. I also need to see DJ Turner grow up a little bit sooner. You're going against guys now. This, like you said, this receiving core of the Colts is young. They're up and coming, especially Michael Pittman Jr. I forgot to mention him. I really like what this Colts receiving core is built so far, but they're not also world beaters either. Like, I'm not taking Michael Pittman Jr. over T. Higgins. I'm just not. I like him, but he ain't T. Okay. I like what Alec Pierce is doing, but I kind of like my guy Trenton Irwin and Charlie Jones better so far. I think that this is the perfect opportunity if you're DJ Turner to show that you've gone through your growing pains. This is where you start capitalizing on interceptions, being a shutdown corner, being that boundary corner opposite of CTB. So when the next wave in years to come of when you start growing your career, you will be the guy that we don't have to worry about quarterbacks picking on, because he was picked on a lot over these last couple of weeks. Even though he's fast, he moves quick, he flies, and he can hit hard. That was the frustrating part of watching the Monday night game, was that he was kind of losing his sight too much when receivers were streaking down the field, getting open on him. It was the same thing against Pittsburgh a week prior to that, where, man, he's let up a couple of deep shots where it's like, man, if the quarterback was just accurate, they would have had him beat for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I need to see DJ Turner close in on his 4.26 or whatever recovery speed that he has, and then just go out there and make the play. The league it is faster. We know this. But I do believe in him. He's made some solid plays since he started his season, on his rookie season. We've been very positive on him, but he just got to grow up a little bit. So I am looking forward to that. And you're absolutely right about the pass rush. And don't forget about the Colts tight ends, Will Mallory, Jelani Woods. And I'm not sure who their main number one target is at tight end, But any tight end can eat on this defense, man. And that's just what's been frustrating. Evan Ingram just caught another streaking touchdown catch again. And It wasn't like that. It was a great throw and a tough circus catch that he made. No, he just caught one down the left side of the left flat and then just streaked upfield and then just dove right in the end zone. And nobody barely even touched him. That is getting frustrating to watch. And if the Colts are watching this defense on film, they're going to look right at that opportunity and then take advantage of that. So beat them to the punch and then stop their tight ends ahead of time. Now, I did like how the defense corralled and start stopping Evan Ingram as the game went on and made them earn those yards. But you got to sort of take that momentum and apply it to this game, is that we don't need to be a defense where tight ends start feasting on us. So those are my closing thoughts for the defensive side of the ball. Otherwise, my final official closing thoughts was, we back up, baby. It feels good to just to watch and have fun again. You know, I was down in the dumps, man. I had no expectations watching the Monday night game. I was just sitting on my couch, chilling, laying back, relaxing. And then I went from just doing that to all of a sudden I'm sweating on my back.
I feel you. Yep.
My hands. I'm like, I'm nervous. I'm like, this is a fun game.
Yeah.
I never tweeted as much during the game like I did last night.
Oh man.
And I love that I did it. And it was just so fun, man. And let's just go out there and just play loose, bro. That's all I gotta say. And I'm very happy that the Bengals heard the talk about they should just go ahead and fold up the tents, because everybody thinking that they lost a couple of games, they lost their quarterback for the season, that you should just tank, right? I'm glad the Bengals ain't listening to that bullshit and ain't playing in tank mode, that they're going out there and winning these games. And continue that talk. You got to go out there and win this one too, before the world really notices that you ain't dead yet either.
Hey, tanks are for the military, explosives are for the Cincinnati Bengals. My closing thought is this. On the college portion of the Cut to the Chase Sports Podcast, I lobbied from the middle of October after Washington beat Oregon through the rest of the season, that Washington had 4 tough ranked opponents at the time that they were going to face, and that, you know, people were like, oh, Washington's good, but they're not like that. We don't know about them. You know, I said Washington's going to have a November to remember. They will finish their season undefeated, and they will win the Pac-12, and they will go to the college football playoff. Not saying those expectations with the Cincinnati Bengals, but they had a November to remember. Why not have a December to remember? And what a start for the Bengals to have a win like that on Monday Night Football for the first time on the road since 1990. Great way to start the month. We'll see what happens. This game is also going to be played on Joe Burrow's 27th birthday on Sunday. So hopefully get him, you know, a nice birthday wish and birthday win, to say the least, to get to 7-6. And then they have the Vikings, a Saturday 1:00 game. Like, we're going back to college at that point. You know, and they're playing each other, just Justin Jefferson versus Jamar Chase. The Bengals we play 2 Saturday games in a row. It looks like we're going back to college, like we're going back to the Bayou, man, with the Bayou Bengals and everything. Because then the next week we got the Steelers at 4:30 on NBC. Good friend of the show, Noah Eagle, is actually going to be the lead play-by-play announcer of that game. I'm glad that game's not on Peacock, to say the least, but it's on national TV, NBC. Good thing. As of right now, the game with the Chiefs is on December 31st. Still, it's still slated at 4:25. The Ravens and the Dolphins are a game that could potentially get flexed into the Chiefs and Bengals slot. But if the Bengals keep winning, then they are going to have no reason to change that game out with Patrick Mahomes versus potentially Jake Browning. So hopefully the Bengals continue to win, and we're going to see ourselves in bigger time slots like we were last night. And if Jake Browning doesn't flinch, doesn't move like that, we'll see what happens. Then you got the Browns on either January 6th or January 7th. That's to be announced. Guys, we have 5 games left in the season, and there are five games against teams that you will either see in the playoffs or teams that are in this playoff race, even though Minnesota's in the NFC. Took down an 8-3 team last night. You have 3 of those 5 games at home. 2 of the 5 are in the division. 3 of the 5 are in very close proximity. It's time, man. Play loose, play fun, play energetic, and try to destroy someone's world and make our world a little bit better. So that's all I got to say. But again, as always, Justin, always a good time having you on here.
Hey, man, I always enjoy coming on. We always got the chef's hats and cooking up every time that we get together, bro. I love it, bro.
Most definitely, man. You guys have watched this far. Like the video, subscribe, share it, do whatever you can with it. We appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time.